Hey guys. Alrighty. So, happy Monday to you. Today is Monday, January 10th of 2022. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you had a great weekend. Yes. Um, okay, so in this video here, I have a big old channeling for Mars right now. And so that's what this video is going to be talking about. Keep in mind, guys, that for those of you that are on Patreon, this is going to end up on YouTube, okay, later on down the road, probably within the next few days, because this is a fairly time-sensitive topic, so I want to get this out to the collective, but I also wanted to give you guys first access to this. So if you are watching this over on YouTube, hey guys, obviously it is not Monday, January 10th for you, but that's okay. Anyway, I have a big old channeling surrounding the energy of Mars and what's happening for Mars specifically right now, currently actually, and leading off into the future. And what we're talking about here is the process of purification, realigning, healing in terms of your masculine side, the masculine energy, before Mars and Venus link up together in February. And actually, that's what brought this to my attention. What I was doing, I got up really super early in the morning. I went to bed really early last night. I fell asleep really early last night. And so I ended up waking up at like 1 a.m, rolled around in bed for like 2 hours, and finally decided to get up at like 3 because I was not getting back to sleep. So I was like, all right, fine, let me just get up and do some work here. Excuse me while I get tarot cards out. So I decided to sit down at the computer with my program, my software here, and start working on content for February. Okay, and I know again it's only January 10th, but like I'm kind of needing to continue to stay ahead of the curve here. Yes. Okay. Anyway, so as I was working through the chart for February, I started to become aware of what was going on, right? Looking off into the future. And I ended up starting with February, and then I noticed something that was happening with this Mercury retrograde situation that we're about to hit, I believe on the 14th. Excuse me. Let me double check that. Yes. Mercury starts its retrograde motion. Yes, is officially directly retrograde, or is officially stationed retrograde by the 14th, I believe, and then officially stationed direct by the 6th of February. So I was looking at that. I tuned into that. I was like, whoa, we actually really need to be talking about Mercury retrograde. So I kind of backtracked and was channeling for Mercury retrograde, which those of you that are watching this early here on Patreon, I'm looking to go live on YouTube this Wednesday, the 12th. Yes, the 12th of January, because Wednesday is associated with Mercury. So we're going to be talking about Mercury. The Mercury retrograde. Let's do it on Wednesday. Perfect. I'm sorry. Just a second. For those of you that are watching this on YouTube, that's actually already happened. So one thing that I want to say, you guys, is I want you to pay very close attention to, first of all, what we say, what ends up, what I have channeled here for the Mercury retrograde, but also with that Mercury retrograde, pay close attention to what I channeled for Jupiter being in Aquarius. If you haven't watched that video yet on YouTube, go ahead and watch it. I'll try and put links in there if I can remember, to make it easier for you guys to find. But it's one of the latest channelings that I've done, live streams that I've done, so it should be readily available on the channel on YouTube. But anyway, so I was channeling for Mercury retrograde, and I ended up writing like, I have 3 pages of notes here for the Mercury retrograde session. Okay, so that's pretty exciting. But I finished I finished channeling for the Mercury retrograde situation, or I was towards the end. And one of the last things Spirit guided me to do was to look at the aspects of what was going on. And that's what led me to realize what is happening for Mars, or happening with Mars at this time. And it also shed some light into some of the things that I was feeling, because I was feeling kind of low. I was feeling kind of low vibrational, dragged down. I was feeling kind of sluggish. I'm kind of on an egoic or conscious level. I'm kind of weary of the path that I'm taking personally right now, even though the universe is strongly guiding me in this way. Okay. So I'm moving forward with it, but there's a sense of fear, there's a sense of the unknown, but then there is also something specifically that has been happening for the last few days that now I'm finally able to put my finger on what's actually going on. There have been moments where all of a sudden these memories come up. Okay, things are resurfacing, and we were talking about that, especially and all of these things that felt like, at least from my personal experience, all the things that were surfacing at this time have to do with my path forward, moving in this new direction, this new alignment that I'm in. And then also certain situations from the past, specifically very cringeworthy moments from my recent past, okay, have been coming back up. And I didn't really understand why. Now, I wasn't trying to focus on that. I was really kind of pushing it away because I wanted to stay focused in the direction that I'm moving in. I wanted to keep my optimism high. I wanted to keep my belief high. I didn't want to start allowing negative thoughts, negative emotions, negative feelings, negative memories to really start dragging me down. But this morning, today, while I was doing all of this channeling for Mercury retrograde and was trying to channel for February, and then ended up landing on this next channeling here for Mars, I started to, I saw why this was happening. Why these certain cringeworthy moments, because it was very specific Mars action-oriented, specifically certain cringeworthy situations that I've dealt with recently and in the recent past that I'm like, what the hell is coming? Why is this coming up here? Okay. And so once I recognized the aspect that is really driving this, that's when I was able to understand what this realm was that was being activated. Okay. So let me get into my notes here. We are talking about the square between Mars and Neptune that is happening right now, that actually started on January 1st of 2022. Let's get into the chart real quick. All right, so what you're looking at is the chart for just the general chart for the moment that I started trying to record this reading. That really doesn't matter, okay? What does matter is, as you can see here, if you look down into the aspect section of the chart, you do in fact see that we have Neptune here squaring with Mars here, okay? That you can see it there. But then also, if you look into the chart here, if you look into the very center of the chart, you have all the aspects. And if you look very closely, you have Mars up here, you have Neptune down here, and this red line with the square in it represents the square that is happening between Mars and Neptune. Now, what is a square? A square tends to be an aspect that puts a roadblock in your path. And oftentimes squares can symbolize a need for change, but they can also symbolize a moment or a need to make a decision. But the decision that this brings up for you is a decision on how to react, respond, or handle something, whatever it is that's coming up for you, in a new way. The square kind of represents a moment where you're being challenged by something that maybe you have been able to overcome or get out of or get away from in the past. But this time, when the square brings this type of situation up, brings it from underneath the surface, brings it to the surface, you are being challenged to approach this situation in a different way. Because oftentimes the same way, the same old way is no longer possible, is no longer viable, or no longer does the job, all right? So getting back into the chart here, whoops, you have this square between Mars and Neptune, right? Mars is currently continuing his transit through Ophiuchus, okay? And this is the healing aspect of whatever Mars or whatever was uncovered or dug up within the realm of Mars for you personally, your action, your drive, also specifically the masculine energy, okay? As Mars was transiting through Scorpio, shit was dug up or things were dug up, right? Relationship realities, your way forward, your path forward, how it is you how it is you take action towards something, your egoic drive, certain egoic elements, all of these are within the realm of Mars. And elements about that have been uncovered and have come to the surface while Mars was moving through Scorpio. And now that Mars is moving through Ophiuchus, you are being handed a time or an opportunity to heal that, okay? So Mars is continuing his transit through Ophiuchus, and one of the things I wrote down for that, one of my notes here, is that Mars is currently wrapping up his healing transit through Ophiuchus, and he's about to leave Ophiuchus with a bang, y'all. Okay, now, let's get into a little bit more of the details here. As I said, Mars is in Ophiuchus at this time, okay, and will be transiting into Sagittarius soon, okay. But Neptune is currently in the early stages of his home sign of Pisces. And with Neptune being in Pisces right now, this is kind of accentuating, further amplifying Neptune's power, the power that Neptune holds, okay? His abilities, right? What he represents, what he brings to the table. Particularly though, with this square, what is being amplified are his dreamy, hypnotic, intoxicating, delusion, or illusionary aspects of Neptune, right? So, but this is happening for a very specific reason. And while this like illusionary or delusionary aspect of Neptune is accentuated at this time, it actually is providing you with a really positive, potentially positive and beneficial opportunity, because this is happening, or this aspect of Neptune is bringing this forward for you, because this is actually the result of a doorway or a window or a portal toward two deeper aspects of yourself, spiritually, emotionally, subconsciously. There is an opening towards deeper elements or deeper parts of your subconscious right now with this square, with Neptune, while Neptune is in Pisces, okay? So what we are experiencing in this moment, and what I became starkly aware of as I was, reading through all of this, is what we are experiencing now is the last remnants of painful experiences and situations that your ego has held on to. Keep in mind, remember guys, that Mars is going through, or the masculine here, is going through an extremely transformative process at this time. And some of us may really be struggling with this, okay? This really may not be easy, okay? Especially when the ego is involved. We think fixed signs don't like change. Yeah, the ego doesn't like it even more, right? Okay. So this is also a kind, what is actually also helping to make this really difficult for a lot of us at this time is the fact that this absolutely involves a level of ego death, okay? And your greatest ally as you're going through this egoic death right now is working on holding a level of gratitude for this, because this really is liberating you. This is freeing you, right? Even though it may not really look or feel like that in the moment, okay? The pain so what I have here is, in terms of what we are experiencing right now, are the last remnants of painful experiences and situations that your ego has held on to. While you move through this energy, you must remember that what is coming up here for you is an illusion. Now, saying that this is an illusion doesn't mean that it didn't happen. okay? And it doesn't mean that the pain isn't real. It's quite the opposite. It actually did happen, and the pain that you are feeling as a result of this is very real. But the resurfacing of these situations, these circumstances, this drama, whatever, that part of it is an illusion, okay? It's like a hologram. And while the feelings are real and the situation really did happen, okay, for some of you, I'm hearing oftentimes it did happen in the way that your subconscious remembers it. That's a tricky situation. I'm gonna let you take that as it resonates for you. I'm not gonna try and define that for you, because that's getting into some of the real nebulous, really nebulous part of Neptune. And now, even as I said that, like, I did hear that, but I'm also kind of wondering if actually that may be a part of the illusionary aspect of Neptune. But anyway, you have to remember that these are illusions, and it's like a hologram, okay? So it's just the tape playing in your head. You're not really there, okay? The pain that you feel may be real, but remember that this was in the past. This is in the past. This is the past resurfacing for healing purposes, okay? And that you have to remember that this is no longer your life now, nor will it be in the future. And whatever the universe is bringing up for you right now, as Mars is making this square to Neptune, Spirit is really driving the point home that we want you to let go of this. You need to let go of this. So specifically, this is coming up not to hurt you, but as the universe saying, we got to get you through this, okay? Because we really don't want this to be any more of a part of your life now than it has been in the past, okay? I'm sorry, we don't want it to be any more of the part of your experience in the future that it has been now, or that it was when it happened, okay? You must allow yourself to feel through this energy in order to let it go. And so this could be, like I said, this could be related to actions that you have taken in the past, or ways that you have acted or reacted to certain things in the past, certain cringeworthy moments. And it was very specific. That feeling was very specific, cringeworthy, because like you often cringe because you did something or you said something, right, that turned out to be less than desirable, right? And so, okay, this does include, Mercury being in retrograde is going to be a part of this. I mean, Mercury being in retrograde is a pretty big part of the month here. But so what I was saying was, it was actually the realization of the cringeworthy aspect of this and how that is directly related to certain actions that you've taken that really helped me to understand that this is heavily Mars related. Now, for me, specifically, and I'm telling this for a reason, not just to gossip or spread drama or whatever, or like reopen any certain wounds here. But I was taken, and what actually really helped me channel the message here was, and what had me stop for a second and say, whoa, Spirit, what the hell is this? Why is this coming up? I was taken specifically to the last time I took action in terms of trying to work out the connection between me and the individual that I have been told is my divine masculine. So with that said, for many of us, potentially, this could have a lot to do with the twin flame journey. And I will get deeper into that in the future, because this is an element of the conjunction between Mars and Venus that is going to happen in February, okay? And what I just heard was healing the toxic masculine energy. That's really what this conjunction is all, no, I'm sorry, this square between Mars and Neptune is all about. But I was taken to the time, the last time that I took certain actions to go basically out of my way. Yes, I am hearing that at this point, okay. In order to help heal or build some sort of connection with the individual that I've been informed and I guess I've come to understand is my divine masculine, twin flame. I embody more of the feminine energy. And that was a really, really painful moment for me. And it resurfaced because it's toxic energy, the pain and the association with all of that, like the mindset that I was in at that time, what happened that night is still something that my ego is holding on to or is harboring. And that was a very painful moment for me because it was extremely humiliating. As if this whole twin flame journey wasn't humiliating enough. That one time, that one night was extremely humiliating. And what happened surrounding that was I was being guided, led yet again by spirit, by the universe, by my higher self, even by some of this person's energies. I was being led to show up again. And I had already done it once. And it wasn't that bad. But then the second time was just like nails in the coffin. And it was extremely humiliating, but I was not being led to do these things just so that I could be humiliated again, just so that I could continue to put myself out there and prove to everyone around me and possibly even potentially everyone around him how crazy I am, right? That's not why spirit was leading me towards this. What actually happened that night was what caused me to finally say enough is enough, from my point of view at least, to finally say enough is enough and to choose to completely walk away and leave this energetic connection behind. Again, it was humiliating. And what I remember, the one point that spirit brought to mind, or when I asked, why am I feeling this again? The image that came to mind was the moment that I had as I was leaving this venue. I remember turning, because when I left, part of me was like, get me the fuck out of here. But there was another very, very strong part of me, and that did come from the feminine, that was like, and it almost kind of felt like the masculine, or he was trying to pull me back in either also, but there was a very strong force within me that was saying, I need to go back in there. I can't leave now. I need to go back in there and like try and talk to him or something like that. And I remember standing there, having started to take a few steps towards the subway so I could get home. This was still when I lived in Brooklyn. And turning around and looking back at the door of the venue and being, number one, terribly, terribly confused. Number two, extremely humiliated. Number three, fucking angry as hell. But number four, feeling like I should go back in. But I didn't. This was the moment where I, embodying the feminine side of the situation, consciously chose to completely walk away from this connection and leave it completely behind me. And it's not, when you really think about it, when you take the ego, when you take the pain, when you take the humiliation out of it, it was not because I was angry. It's because of why I was guided to be there at that moment to begin with. Because that night, I was shown exactly what I needed to see in order to finally allow myself to be okay with completely leaving the connection behind and moving on with my life. That was late 2019. It was by March of 2020, excuse me, that I had not only decided to completely leave the situation behind, but to then move to Puerto Rico, which is where I am right now. And I started to realize, I started to notice as I was channeling for the collective for the year of 2021, as we were moving on through the year, there was a massive collective energy on behalf of the feminine of doing that exact same thing. Finally getting so fed up with the toxicity, both from the masculine side and the feminine side, right? Nobody is perfect here. Nobody is innocent here, okay? But the feminine last year, the year of 2020. Well, it was the year 2020 into the year of 2021. But the feminine went through a massive healing process that involved separating from the divine masculine. Did I say the masculine? The feminine. The feminine went through a massive healing process that involved, that started by the feminine completely walking away from the masculine and completely cutting off and not even desiring to come back together with that same individual or energetically speaking, with that same form of the masculine. Because the feminine was finally starting to work on releasing herself from her toxic elements that were just keeping the cycle going between the two of them. And thus, that is really what, from my perspective here, what I've been channeling for the collective, that's really what pushed the masculine into to his form of this extreme healing process that is now all culminating this year with the masculine and the feminine, Mars and Venus, coming back together in February, okay? So I say all that to say, I told that long-winded story because that's what put this into focus for me. This is absolutely, now I'm not going to say it's that specific situation, although that specific situation is really kind of the last time I really felt I interacted with this energy in that way. I did see him one more time, ironically enough. Where we ran into each other was hilarious, but that moment that was brought back, that resurfaced, that memory was the last moment that I had engaged in this energy in this way. And so, moving forward here, in order to come out the other end of this, you must go through this step in the process first. You have got to work your way through whatever is coming up for you at this time with this square, okay? You are being directly confronted with that which stands in your way, that which holds you down and keeps you stuck and grounded. Now, I don't mean grounded in terms of like being grounded in a healthy way, rooted in the earth and stable. No, I mean like grounded, like unable to move, unable to fly. And you're meant to be flying, right? Now, I've been trying to get a card here, and here it comes finally. You have the World. So, the World coming out here at this moment. Yeah, the World coming out here at this moment, our overall energy is the 9 of Wands at the bottom of the deck. So, okay, you really do just have to push through this. And for those of you that are wondering, I'm using the Mystic Dreamer Tarot right now, okay? But anyway, you really need to push through this. And so one of the other things that I was really thinking about with this, and I was like, okay, wait a second, Spirit. Now, this was at the time that I saw this is a square between Mars and Neptune. And I was like, okay, but wait a second. This probably didn't just start today. this probably has been going for a few days now, Spirit. And I looked back and I checked into it. I was like, sure enough, yeah, this square between Neptune and Mars started on the 1st of January of 2022. And I'm like, all right, well, Spirit, it's the 10th. So like, why is this just coming up now? And that's when Spirit explained to me, and as I was looking through the chart, I realized this is one of those aspects that starts out and builds in resonance, we'll say, as the conjunction moves forward, or I'm sorry, as the square or as the aspect moves forward. Okay, like I said, it started on January 1st. It ends on the last day of this square is the 23rd of January. And so this is building. The closer and closer Mars gets to Neptune, the further into this square that Mars moves, the stronger and stronger, most likely, these emotions are going to be, or these resurfacing events are going to be. And that's why Spirit is saying, hold on and just keep pushing through this, because this is bringing endings. Okay, the world. Again, this is bringing a close to certain emotional things that your ego has been holding on to that are ending up being roadblocks for you. And one of the images that I got for this square is of a crescendo. And those of you that know music, you know what a crescendo is. For those of you that are not familiar, a crescendo in music is when the music starts really low or is at a point that is lower than where it ends in like the next few bars. So as time goes on in the music, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and louder and louder and louder and louder and louder, right? And that's what this energy feels like. It feels like, with Neptune being activated here, and this portal, this window, this doorway into deeper recesses of your soul or your subconscious being open, as time goes on, the fear, the madness, the illusions, the delusions, the effects of remembering cringeworthy moments and blah, blah, blah gets worse and worse and harder and more intense and more intense and more fearful and blah, 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 until the 24th happens. And on the 24th, Mars flips from a square to Neptune to a sextile with Jupiter. And what that felt like was time going on and the fear and everything and the drama getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And then all of a sudden, like, your eyes are closed and you're trying to hide from it. Oh my God, it's scary, it's deep, it's crazy. And there's another aspect, we'll get into this in a second, but it's crazy and it's scary and oh my God, I can't, blah, 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 blah. And then, just like that, all of a sudden, it gets quiet and peaceful. And you open your eyes and all of a sudden you're just surrounded by blue skies, serenity, peace, clarity, happiness. When Mars switches from that square to Neptune to the sextile with Jupiter. And that's where we go back to, that's where I want to draw your attention to the Jupiter in Aquarius reading channeled message that I did this past weekend. I believe it was, let's see, today's the 10th. It was the 8th of January, because it's directly connected to that. What is being cleared up for you during this square between Mars and Neptune is exactly that which stands in the way or keeps you grounded or keeps Jupiter from elevating you to where it is you want to go, to where it is Jupiter's trying to take you, okay? During that whole healing process of Jupiter being in Aquarius. So pay very close attention to that message. Go back to that and watch it. Even if the Teletubbies aspect doesn't resonate with you, okay? Pay very close attention to the messages from the inner child and what it is your inner child is trying to tell you. Because like I said in that reading, your inner child knows the way out of this, okay? And a lot of the time, in a lot of ways, it's facing it, right? So by the 24th, this really fearful, extreme energy lifts, or will have lifted, and you will be lighter and less dense. This will allow Jupiter to lift you, as in the masculine, or from the realm of the masculine, higher, as he and Mars, Jupiter, this is, form a sextile, which is a super creative element, okay? Very beneficial. Okay, wait, hold on a second. Let me collect myself, because there's something else that I wanted to say, but I lost it. So it'll come back to me. Let's move forward. So remember, you guys, that during this time, this is a portal or a doorway to deeper parts of your soul, Neptune being in Pisces, that you may not normally have easy or regular access to. Because of this, some of the most random things may be coming up for you. Things that you could have swore you had dealt with or were done with. I was getting, as I was channeling through this energy, I was getting a bit of like a junk drawer vibe, which may not be the most accurate. In some cases, what's coming up here because when I say junk drawer, I feel like these are things that you're consciously throwing in this junk drawer because you don't know what to do with it. And that could very well be what is happening, or what has happened here. But that's not all of it. Some of what's coming up here may have just slipped by you unnoticed and sunken into these deeper aspects or deeper parts of your subconscious mind, and you didn't even notice it, okay? So it's kind of that feeling. It's kind of like a junk drawer feeling, where some of us have consciously put these things in here because we didn't know what to do with it. We didn't know how to deal with it or why we needed to deal with it. So it's just like, whatever, just put it over there. Or it mistakenly or just so happened to slip away from you and sink into your subconscious, yes? Gosh, I really wish I could remember what that one thing was that I was wanting to say. Hopefully, yes, it'll come back to me. But anyway, yeah. So this is a time period of closing this stuff out. Let me see. Let's go back to the chart real quick. Make sure. Oh, the last thing I want to say here, in terms of like just the placements and everything, what's also helping you to heal this, you guys, is the fact that Chiron is in Pisces along with Neptune. Okay, so there's definitely a healing aspect to this. I really feel like Chiron, especially since Chiron is the ruler of Ophiuchus, where Mars is right now, this is definitely a healing process, okay? We have big endings coming, the world, closing out of major cycles. Oh man, that I had a point, you guys, that I really wanted to say, and it's completely lost me. But anyway, I've lost it. But anyway, so yeah. All right, cool. So look, you have the world here. All right, so we're closing the situation out. The world is with the Six of Pentacles here. So reciprocity, balancing the scales, the balance between give and take. We really have to balance out this energy for Mars and for Venus, all right? Although I do feel like Venus is kind of driving this. Venus is setting, the feminine is setting the bar as she makes her retrograde movement through Sagittarius, right? Venus, or the feminine, is really kind of setting the bar for the masculine to meet, okay? And it kind of has to be this way. The union that's happening between the masculine and the feminine, or Mars and Venus, that's coming through in March. Oh no, I'm sorry. It actually starts in February and then is accentuated in March. But what I'm hearing here is it kind of has to be on the feminine's terms, because she's already doing the work herself. Okay, so with that said, what I'm getting here is that this is probably going to be a really extreme or tumultuous time. Okay, the masculine really may not be having an easy time with this. And considering the things that are being brought to an end, the Ten of Swords just came out as I say that. Considering the fact that this ending is represented by the 10 of Swords, which is a really gnarly end to a really gnarly situation, right? It makes sense why it can't be easy. It's not supposed to be easy. Overall energy now is the Hanged Man here. Okay. Change in perspective. You are not going to be able to move forward in the best way possible, or maybe even in the way that is most helpful to you, or the way that you really want to, or the way that you desire, if you don't get this change in perspective. So these things that are coming up in terms of actions that you've taken in the past, cringeworthy moments, the ways that you've reacted or whatnot, whatever, if they're coming up for you right now and it feels like or seems like extreme punishment, it's not. It's showing you what needs to be cleared out of the way. It's showing you what your 10 of Swords energy is, that you have got to let go of, so that by the time Mars sextiles with Jupiter, we can start to lift you up and expand you, because you will have come out of this lighter, more free, more healthy. Queen of Pentacles has just come out now. This is the feminine coming through here. Saying, literally saying, if you want me to work with you, then you have got to work with me. And you have got to do some of the things that I am asking you to. Ooh-wee, the way that you have asked of me, or so rightfully have demanded of me, says the feminine. All right. That comes from the Queen of Pentacles to the Two of Cups, Three of Wands, King of Wands, 10 of Cups. Sorry about that. With the overall energy being the Two of Pentacles, but also the Queen of Swords to Death. And then finally to the Emperor and the King of Cups. Whoa. And the Hierophant. Wow. Okay, so what does all this mean? The feminine is saying there is no other way around it. Queen of Swords. This transformation has to change, or this transformation has to happen. And if you are going to step up into the Emperor position to mirror my Empress position, then you are going to have to take some emotional responsibility and heal and learn the lesson from some of these really tough situations, the Hierophant to the Three of Swords. This is the way it has to be. This is the only way that the feminine and the masculine can link up together. Is if they put, what I'm hearing is if they put all of this to the side and not just push it aside and say, whatever, let's just forget about it. No, put it to the side in the sense of deal with it, heal it, do something about it, because it is keeping you locked down, bogged down, burdened, in strife. Okay. What else do we have for the collective for this Mars-Neptune square? Okay. Okay. Finally here, overall energy is the Nine of Wands. So perseverance is key. What these illusions are showing you here, the moon as Neptune is in Pisces. Oh, that's it. I remember now. Okay, good. But what I was saying is what the illusions that are coming up for here, these illusions are showing you a way forward, are providing you with a certain level of inspiration so that you can move forward away from these situations. Now, or out of this painful situation, you can heal all of this. Now, the other thing that I want to say, and this might be the last thing that I want to work on, or maybe what I want to end this with, I'm not sure. But anyway, the last thing I want to say is I want you to pay attention to the fact that Neptune here is at 1 degree of Pisces. 1 degree, excuse me, of Pisces. At least that's of the 10th. all right, of January. It's really, I mean, it's not going to shift all that drastically over this time period, okay, because Neptune is one of the outer planets, so it moves fairly slow, but just for shits and giggles, let's move the chart forward. I mean, like, it doesn't hit it doesn't hit 2 degrees of Pisces until the 3rd of February, okay? So but the reason why I'm pointing this out is because this is kind of coloring how you will experience some of these energies. This could be extremely chaotic, you guys. Other than the fact that Neptune can be a fairly chaotic energy anyway, okay? Neptune can kind of be seen sometimes as the storm on the sea that comes through and just like ravages everything, right? But with Neptune being in the very beginning of Pisces, this is absolutely coloring or affecting how some of this happens for you, or how you experience some of these energies, and is creating a chaotic effect. And I'll say it this way. Let's use the analogy of aging wine, okay? And the process of aging that wine represents the process of moving through a sign, right? What just came out here? Okay. The High Priestess just came out, but she came out in reverse. The High Priestess represents Piscean energy. I'm gonna leave that there for now. So the process of a celestial body moving through a sign can be attributed to, or can be compared to aging wine. Yes. It starts out in the beginning phases as grape juice, right? That's been pressed from freshly harvested grapes. And then it's put into a barrel or some sort of aging medium, okay, in order for it to age and gain all of those beautiful, delicious, luscious flavors. Let's say we're making a really bold and full-bodied Cabernet, one of my favorites, right? Well, think about it this way. Neptune is that wine, right? But at 1 degree of Pisces, Neptune is literally just fresh grape juice, freshly pressed grape juice that was literally just thrown into the barrel. Okay, so what the High Priestess in reverse here says is that this is Piscean energy, yes, but, and I literally just heard this, it lacks maturity. So as an effect, you could be experiencing this in a super chaotic, unorganized, unrefined, immature kind of way. Both in how these situations are presented to you at really inopportune times or really inappropriate moments or whatever. Or you could be experiencing this in how you are responding to all of this. It could be a combination of both, but your response to all of this could be extremely childish. Talk about some like from the ego. Again, also keep in mind that this does involve ego death, okay? So there's that. So keep that in mind. Okay, next we have the Three of Swords, but keep that in mind as you move through this, okay? Don't take some of the more immature ways that this may be. I don't even know if, I feel like immature is a little bit too offensive. I'm not trying to be offensive. This is, and just because it's at the beginning of stages of Pisces, number one, doesn't mean it's any less powerful, although with maturity comes greater power, okay? But any less effective, anything else, it's just a way that this is being colored or potentially will be colored. So maybe immature isn't the right one. Lacking in the highest potential of maturity that it could. Whatever. Okay, so with that said, make sure to keep that in the forefront of your mind, especially if you find yourself responding to this in some fairly childish ways. Again, take that with a grain of salt, okay? But understand that even though the high priestess here, this Piscean energy, may be not as mature as we maybe want it to be, you are still coming out of heartbreak. And quite frankly, another little point here, I can't believe this is almost an hour long now, but another little point here is that as I've really been focusing on how the celestial bodies are moving in the sky and how that's influencing us, and how I'm understanding this story to be unfolding, the more I understand the story, the more I find the divine perfection in how all of this is lined up. Okay? So even though we're talking about how, Neptune being in Pisces at 1 degree of Pisces in the very early stages of Pisces are, it's fairly immature, could be fairly chaotic and just crazy, right? The divine perfection here is that I feel like this childlike nature is really what's going to help you to rework things, because think about it. The child, or a childlike nature or something like that, an immature type energy, is very mutable, right? Which is partially why the pages in the tarot are associated with mutable energies, because they're moldable, they're shapeable, just like a child, right? It's not until you get into the more mature phases that you become more fixed and you're less moldable, less changeable, less flexible even, right? So this childlike nature, these beginning stages of Pisces is actually quite a perfect energetic environment for this change to happen, don't you think? It can help you be a little bit more flexible in these energies. Now, with that said, also keep in mind that I did mention that Chiron, Ophiuchus's ruling planet, is also in Pisces. But Chiron is more towards the center. So the healing aspect that is being provoked here, while Mars moves through Ophiuchus, which is ruled by Chiron, the healing aspect to this, the healing potential here, is more on the mature side and is kind of in the center here. So it's not so rigid, not so fixed, but also not so moldable at the same time. There's a good level of maturity coming through from Chiron here in its position in Pisces. But Neptune, the energy that is opening, or the celestial body that is opening the doorway for you to this deeper aspect of your subconscious, is in the beginning stages of Pisces, which I don't really know how else to say it. It just feels good. It just feels like it's a perfect aspect here. Okay. So we do have some cards that are coming out here. So let's get into that. First card that has just come out is the Three of Wands, your path forward. And I'm not really getting anything specific, so I'm asking Spirit what they want to say about the Three of Wands here. Okay. Anything? Can you give a little bit more, please? Aha. Okay. All right. So, I don't know if this is going to be the last thing I want to say about this. I'm just going with the flow here. But, yes. So, your path ahead. Three of Wands. Overall energy is the Two of Wands. You do, in fact, have a choice here. And that choice, number one, I do feel the first choice here is to move forward or not. The second choice would be, how do we move forward? But I feel like in relation to that second question, how do we move forward? Again, refer back to the Jupiter and Aquarius reading that I did. Focus on your inner child. Your inner child knows the way out of all of this. Okay. Now, The first question, though, do we go down this new path or not at all? You are entirely within your right to say no and to stay where you are. But realize, understand, like, leave this situation with nothing else than the full understanding that that is a stuck and stagnant place. And you're going to be stuck there. I'm hearing you're going to be stuck there until the next opposition with Saturn, I just heard. Maybe, okay, what I'm hearing is when the sun opposes Saturn, which is going to be later in the year. You're going to be finding yourself cycling through this. Almost in like a almost, I just heard in almost a spiritual jail, okay? Because this is, again, guys, stay tuned. I have so much content for you guys for the next coming up. But I'm going to explain this more about when we get into the reading for the month of February, because there is a checkpoint. The sun conjuncts with Saturn in February, okay? And that is actively a checkpoint. Again, I'll get into that later. And that is effectively releasing, if you approach or if you hit that checkpoint right in February, that could really liberate you from a lot of shit, okay? But if you choose not to do this healing work at this time, you're going to be stuck in this cycle, I'm hearing, until the sun opposes Saturn, which is going to be later in the year. You're going to be stuck in this cycle. There's going to be a level of a spiritual jail, but it's not really jail. It's not really punishment. It's not really detention. It's just that you did not sufficiently approach or handle the situation given the opportunity at this moment. So you're going to have to cycle through these energies again until you have another moment to break the cycle, okay? That is absolutely your choice, okay? But again, you do have a choice here, Two of Wands, in terms of your path. In order to make the decision here, what we have is we have the Hermit in reverse, the Magician in reverse, but I needed a little more clarity and I got the Page of Swords. So you really need to allow yourself to be internal, to be withdrawn, to allow yourself to take the time, do the self-care, be independent, be solitary enough to really be able to handle the deep aspects of yourself that you are being provided access to at this time. Again, deep access to yourself in ways that you may not normally have readily or easy open access to naturally, given the fact that this is so potentially so deep in there, okay? Again, so deep that it has kind of slipped away from your conscious and sunk and settled, almost as if it settled to the bottom of the ocean of your subconscious, which, does that even exist? No, not really, says Spirit. Okay, but figuratively speaking, right? And how often do we get an opportunity to go down to the bottom of the ocean? Okay, so you're really gonna have to go internal here. The Hermit in reverse, the Magician in reverse. Yes, this is speaking to the blockage in your manifestation abilities, in your way forward. It is. But it's all because it's reversed, but it's also speaking to the need for us to go internal, to go deep within ourselves. And I'm hearing to do these checks and balances so that we can balance this out, rise to the surface again, and then allow Jupiter to drive us even higher once the sextile with Mars happens and as we continue to move down this path in this universal setting of divine change. Yes. Okay. I believe that's all I have here for my notes and my channeled messages for this. Again, I want to point you guys out. I want to make sure that you check back at the Jupiter in Aquarius reading, and specifically pay very attention to the message from your inner child in that reading, and also the messages that your inner child sends to you while you're watching that reading and subsequently afterwards, okay? I also want you guys to pay very close attention to what I have channeled for the Mercury retrograde reading. For those of you on Patreon that are watching this the day that this was posted, or shortly thereafter, that happens on Wednesday. Okay, this Wednesday, January 12th. And now if you're watching this on YouTube later on in the fact, that live stream, that channeled message, that live stream will have already happened. So look for a live stream from January 12th, dated or titled Mercury in Retrograde, okay? Very important things to think about. And then of course, we'll talk about February when we get there, or after, later on down the line. Closing message. Let's get a closing message to close out this situation here. Oracle of the 7 energies. I want to do 7 shuffles. All right, this is 2. 3. For Mars square Neptune, please, Spirit. Can you close out this reading for us? This is 4. What closing messages do you have for us for Mars square Neptune? This is 5. 6. And 7. All right. Closing oracle guidance, please, Spirit, for Mars square Neptune. Overall energy is card number 32, which does boil down to a 5. Quieting the mind. Quieting the mind in order to open us up to a great big love come March. Well, actually, really February, which is ironic, you guys, because Valentine's Day happens in February. I'm so excited to get all these messages to you guys. You have no idea. You have no idea. But anyway, we're being opened up to great big love. Okay? That is the purpose for all of this. Last closing message is coming from the unicorns. Final closing message, please, Spirit, for this Mars squaring up with Neptune dynamic. There it is right there. Card number 21, Magical Crystal Cave. Cave. Switch on your inner light. Bring forward your gifts. Beautiful. And then you have 2 more cards here. Card number 6, enter the magic. Live in the now, seize the moment. You guys take this opportunity. I know this is probably gonna be really dark, really heavy, really deep, really scary, really chaotic, all right? Make sure to ground yourself as much as possible, but take this opportunity while we've got it, okay? Finally, you have card number 24, shower of blessings. Open yourself to receive and then pay it forward. Okay, I am going to leave it there, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're still here, an hour and 2 minutes into this session, bless you. But thank you. I mean, I kind of hope most of you are, because these, there are messages throughout, but thank you. I love you guys. I hope you have a fantastic week, a fantastic day, or whatever, the rest of your day, whatever. Yes. And I'm sending you so much love, and I look forward to connecting with you again very, very soon. Yeah? Beautimous. Take care. Bye.